So it's been a while.
I need you to take care of this.
What do I need to take care of?
You get the camera for a minute.
I got the camera for a minute. Gus is up doing something. How are you? Welcome to the Ashley and Gus show. Or maybe it's the Gus and Ashley show, but when he's not here, it's the Ashley and Gus. Anyway,
we've been traveling and working, traveling. It's all good. We've just in Vegas for a week, learning to be better event people.
We had a really awesome time in Vegas.
It was awesome.
It was so awesome.
Anyway,
awesome.
We're going to talk about something we haven't talked about tonight before. We are going
Which
to.
is kind of surprising to me.
Yes, and we're going to talk about relationships and how to have great relationships. Ashley and I have an amazing relationship. We know many couples that do have great relationships, and we thought we'd share some tips on what it takes to have an amazing relationship, or how you can better improve your relationship with the people who are key to you in your life.
I think this is such a great topic because it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, because people come to us, people ask us, they're like, how do you guys do it? How do you stay so happy? How are you always so happy with your, you know what I mean?
If you don't know, Ashley and I own a number of businesses together. We are together almost 24/7, just all the time. She doesn't go out with her friends. I don't go out with my friends. We have mutual friends. We hang out.
That's not that I don't want to see my friends.
No, but we have a couple friends that we hang out with.
Yeah.
And we like, and they have the same, the same attitude that we have, and the same good vibes that we have. And so it's very, it's cool to be around.
So, I'll admit something. I go for a run maybe 3 or 4 times a week. It's sort of my only alone time, which I appreciate but I miss you when I am gone. I'm like, because I have these great ideas and then I can't wait to come home and tell you about them. So that's just one of the key features of Gus. And people come to us for relationship advice. They ask us, they're like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
So here goes.
So we're going to share some things.
I'm going to share some ways that we recommend in terms of having a great relationship.
I'll start.
Please.
Communicate openly and honestly. I know that sounds cliche, but it's the key. And we both came from relationships that were not the greatest in the past, and communication would often break down. I will admit, Ashley's a much better communicator than I am at times, but I also we have a really great, amazing life, and I don't put up with anything that interferes with our lives, our business, our kids, or whatever. So if I have a problem with Ashley, and it's so rare, or if I see something going in a way that I don't like where it's going, I'll immediately address it. I'll bring it up immediately. And I don't know if it's a muscle I developed or what it is, but I realize things are so important in what I do in life that open communication is key.
It is. It's critical. And I think one of the things that I've noticed, and again, Gus mentioned, we've both been in previous marriages that ended poorly. We want to put it that way.
Expensively.
But we're extremely happy together. And I think part of it is part of why I pay more attention to this now is because I can look back at ways that I either wasn't good at communicating or wasn't getting the communication that I needed to confidently really. It's really about building our family, building our empire, so to speak. So really understanding how important it is maybe didn't occur to me as much in my marriage.
In previous relationships, you're and I know many of you feel this way. You feel like you're a sole survivor. Like you're trying to survive just yourself in your own relationship, in your own life, and
that's a good way of putting it.
And F the rest of F everybody else. So I don't even have my own stuff together.
Well, that's it. And you're so focused on doing what everybody tells you should do, which is just go with it, put up with it, tolerate it, because that's what they're doing. And so you get lost in, all right, I'm trying to manage the house, the spouse, the kids, the career, that I'll speak from my experience. I just let stuff slide. And I was just like, okay, I'm just trying to handle everything. So for me to raise the bar and say, no, we need to work on the way we communicate with each other. It just didn't seem like a priority at the time. And then by then the bar was so low, it didn't matter anymore.
And that communication can be tough. So you might have to start with little things and you might get help. I mean, you might get help in your communication ways. So anyway,
communicate openly and honestly. It means sharing your thoughts and your feelings with your partner and being willing to really listen and really take what's important to them as important to you, because if it's important to them, it's important to your relationship. So I'll go with number 2, which is be supportive and understanding. Be there for your partner in good times and bad. Offer your love and support unconditionally. Try to see things from their perspective and understand their needs, even if you don't always agree with them. I know that there have been times where Gus reacts to something.
Me?
Well, we all react to things, but sometimes your reaction will be a way that I wouldn't react to that same situation. And it doesn't mean that something's right or wrong. It just means that you're wired a little differently and you're different people. And of course you're going to have things that you disagree on, or that that triggers you in a different way. Being supportive and understanding of Gus gives him the space that he needs to have that reaction without maybe taking it further or holding on to it longer. And he does the same for me. He knows that there are things, that there are things that I just like, that's my thing, or like, oh, and you just stand there and allow me to, or help guide me through that experience, knowing that if you do that and you're patient with me, I'm going to be able to just get past it faster.
I know one thing we have in our relationship.
Okay.
Or at least I have with Ashley. She'll ask me a question and she won't listen to the answer until it's important for her to listen to the answer.
Oops.
She'll actually be like, "What do we have for dinner tonight?" And I'll tell her, but she didn't even listen. And anyone we'll go to the store to buy something. So what are we buying again? What are we having for dinner again? And I'll be like, okay. And I know when she's not listening to it, but I'll say it. And I'll be like, you didn't listen to this, but I support you in this. I go, okay, well, that's how it is.
And then it's funny because then I take a look at like, well, what didn't I do there? Because I remember now, or did the question just fly out of my mouth? And sometimes, I know from my communication style, sometimes I'll just ask it to like fill the quiet with
get it off your head,
right?
Yeah.
Or like I'm making conversation, and then you're just kind of like, okay,
you're not rude about it.
Why did you just ask me?
Yeah, why did you ask me?
Like,
why did you ask me that 5 times?
So
that's also the being supportive. I don't know if this is the right time to bring it up. This is a positive thing. Be supportive of each other's goals. Absolutely. We have goals and dreams, and that's what's really important. Like, where are you going in this life? What do you want out of this life? How are you going to get there? You get your dreams down, and what's it take to get there? Because you can't do what you want to do without having support. If you want something bigger in life, you need other people. You need other people to help you get there.
And what better person to have in your corner to help lift you to the level that you want to be at than the person who you're in your relationship with.
Yeah, I know something big is something that I haven't done, but if something big would be like becoming a doctor. And especially after you're after a certain age and you're out of school, you're past prime thing. If you're going to become a doctor, you don't need your spouse to help you learn how to become a doctor, but you need your spouse to support you in the sacrifices that you need to make to get to be that doctor. And it won't be easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's not going to be.
Well, that's it. And it's I remember just counseling friends who are like, oh, my husband wants to go back to school and do this, and I'm already busy with all of this and this, and it's just like, okay, well, they have a desire that's going to be there whether you support them or not. Support them, but also talk with them about it, about like, hey, I'm going to help you get to this next level. Let's take a look at what it might look like. And I'm going to need you when it's time for me to push myself to the next level. And this is what I think it's going to look like. And that was something that I know I definitely didn't have.
And
you have to relationship. So
a lot of times you might have to give something up to get something more for a short period of time.
Yeah.
I hate to say that I'm at the age of my life, but I'm at the age of my life now that I don't material things and some things just don't matter as much anymore. And I'm looking for bigger moves in life, and having even a comfortable place to live, which we have a comfortable place to live. You might have to sacrifice where you're living for a couple of years to get to where you want
to that next level,
where you want to be.
Yeah, yes. Totally. And having obviously your partner, your relationship with you on that is pretty important if you're going to make some big moves together. You need that support. You need that, hey, this may be uncomfortable for a little bit, but it's going to get us to where we want to be faster. And are you on board with me on that? And this is what it'll look like. So cool.
This next one's big.
Okay.
Be respectful and trustworthy.
Ooh.
I'm going to repeat that. Be respectful and trustworthy. And I'm going to add a memo to that. You need to respect yourself first. You need to be trustworthy to yourself first before you can expect respect from anybody else, or you can give respect away. Is that true?
Way true, man. He just got right to it.
Well,
yeah, that's like 100%.
We see that. We see people.
Well, that's it. You see what happens if it doesn't. If it's not there, right? You see somebody who's either not 100% confident in themselves and the way that they treat other people. Like, you're supposed to do this for me. You're supposed to do this for me. It's like, this isn't an entitlement. This is a two-way street. You need to be respectful of me, and I need to be respectful of you. And that's how we build something together as a team. If
you're in a situation where you're being disrespectful, or you're being disrespected, or you're being disrespectful, nothing good can come out of that. You have to change that. Yeah, and even people, and I'm very lucky that I grew up in a family that had a pretty strong moral compass, I guess you would say.
We both did, which is probably why we get along so well.
But to go from not having it or not respecting yourself, I mean, you need to do that first. If you're out of shape, you need to work on your health a little bit. You're being somewhat disrespectful to yourself. Now, you might have a serious illness, a serious problem, but you still can be the best version of yourself with that ailment, what's going on. There's still things you can do to be there.
And you know that. Like, you know if you're taking care of yourself or if you're not. You know if you are doing what you can to take care of the people around you. And if you're not, then that's where you're not respecting yourself, which makes it so much harder to respect other people, flat out. I mean, it's just, it's pretty core. So I'm really glad that you brought that up.
So and then let's be respectful of each other. I mean, most of the time, and you can look back and look at stuff you did on spite, and what happened. I know. I mean, how to say this?
I'm so eager to hear this.
We had a situation in the house a couple months ago, months where somebody was being disrespectful in the house. Not one of our family members, someone else who had access to our house was being disrespectful. And quite honestly, it was the biggest pain point actually I had it in the last 2 years. In fact, it was the worst argument she and I have ever gotten in was because of this person, and that person was disrespecting our family. And we didn't realize it at the time. It was hard to see, but
yeah,
it was
untrustworthy, right? And I think
they go hand in hand.
What was interesting to us, Gus has said it before, that Gus and I rarely argue. We have disagreements, but it's not like butt heads, argument, fight kind of thing.
We're never disrespectful to each other.
We're never disrespectful to each other. because we've done that before in previous relationships and we realized it didn't work. So
Right.
don't do that. But what you have noticed in the past is that when we get into an argument, it's usually because of somebody else, or there's a how to handle someone, or how something happened that wasn't necessarily had anything to do with us, except that like, oh,
yeah, it's been a third party influence,
right?
Yeah, it's been something
every
else
time.
every time. It's been somebody else, creating a thing. I know. Ashley was working with one of her mentors, and her, they hang in pretty big circles, and they were having a conversation about not letting people into their family who could hurt the family, not intentionally, but could cause cracks in the family and try to change the family's belief system. And then both of these parties that we're talking about were very successful people.
And that's part of how they have achieved their success, is by being very selective on who they allow into their world, their empire. Who's coming in to spend time? Who are they spending their time and energy with?
Mm-hmm.
What are they getting back from those people? And it's a matter of, you always gauge is, do I want to spend more time with that person when they leave, or am I glad that they left? And then really calibrating how much time you're going to give to them moving forward. And we see this with families so frequently, is that especially with the holidays coming up. So pay attention.
Unfortunately, you don't have a choice all the time in the family situation.
Right. I mean, it may be, okay, we're getting together for Thanksgiving and we're getting together for the holidays in December. But, the part that you do have control over is how much time you spend with them. And perhaps be able to structure things in a way that you don't have, if you have toxic family members, which so many people feel like they do, or, my family member doesn't respect me. Okay. You still get together with them, their family, but you don't have to spend as much time with them, or you don't have to agree on every aspect of your visit with them.
We know that's a pain point. A pain point for a lot of couples and people, spouses and stuff like that, is family.
Yeah.
You have choices.
You have options.
You have options. You don't always like them.
Yeah.
I mean, you could choose not to go with your spouse to a family something or other. It's not an idea situation, but I've been in that position before, not with Ashley, but in that position, and it's just, you're not on the same team. And when that happens, it's or someone has to have a really tough conversation with some of the other family members,
right.
Or maybe you got to see less of your family members to preserve your relationship. Right.
It can happen, and it's not a comfortable conversation to have with anyone. But once you confront it, you'll be in a much better place with your partner in terms of understanding what they need, what you need, and you'll be able to strengthen your team bond from that. So I love that. And I want to also kind of mention something under the be respectful and trustworthy, is that when you're in an argument, it is so easy to go low. It's so easy to have that, we have that instinctual desire to be right. Like, I'm going to prove to you that I'm right and you're wrong. And that's why we're in an argument, and that's what's going to come up. But usually when you go that route, it's not pretty, it's not helpful, and it actually is destructive to you as a person and to your relationship. So I just highly recommend to think about very hard. And again, we had experience with this. It's like, how do I not want to be talked to? If I'm about to say something with a really nasty tone, and I told you so, or something like that, I'll stop myself, because I don't want to hear that. I don't want to do that to him, because I love him. And I we're building something here, and all that's going to do is poke holes in what we're trying to build and keep us from building that.
Something minor in our relationship there, where I'm always right, and Ashley will admit this after I say this. A lot of my friends called me Ray McNally growing up. I always know where I am.
Explain what you mean by that.
Rand
Not everybody knows
McNally was a big maps company for
Yeah.
years and years and years. They made atlases and stuff like that.
So when it comes to directions,
99% of the time, I know where I am, and I just have a.
He does. He has an incredible.
It's almost like I have a building compass. Like I know where I am.
Literally, except for that time in Vegas last week where we walked this way instead of this way to get to the tram, and I was just like, I think we're supposed to go this way. Now I know 99% of the time he's right,
but I was also,
but I also knew that I was right.
Sometimes I'll also, I know that I'm right. It's just like, we need to go this way. I'm like, okay, we're going. Let's go. And she's like,
whoops, no, I was wrong.
Okay,
I was wrong.
I don't fight to be right. It's just like, it is what it is. I guess.
Well, and I don't fight to be right either. I'm pretty quick to say when I'm wrong.
Yeah,
and I think actually that right there could be a strong subset under being respectful and trustworthy. It's just be willing
respect
to be
is
wrong.
everything. Oh my God.
Be willing to be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I forget stuff. I leave things behind.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't. It's not that big of a deal. Just say it.
Mm-mm.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right. What's the next one?
So the next one is number 4. Make time for each other. It's important to schedule regular time to spend together, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. Now, that's not an issue for us because we're together a lot, except we take time to check in on each other, like make sure we're on the same page on things like, hey, this is coming up. Do you need me to do this? Do we need to take care of that? What do you want to do in terms of this something? Because if we're not getting on the same page over these things, they're kind of loose ends that'll end up tripping us as we get further down, and then it becomes a more stressful situation.
But on that same note, one step further that both of us do. There's things that Ashley like to do that I wouldn't necessarily be my first thing. She loves to go to museums, and we do arts, we do parks, we do whatever. A lot of that artsy stuff. I love it when we go there. I like to do more maybe shooting guns and golfing and cars and stuff like that. But we both check in on each other to say, hey, do you want to do this? Let's put this on the books and let's do it because it's important to you. And that's the time we spend.
Absolutely. And even if it's something you don't necessarily love to do, if it's important for them to do it, come along. Unless it's something you absolutely despise, figure it out. Like, be a team player. Gus gets to do stuff that, we do stuff that Gus likes to do. We do things that I like to do. Nobody's winning. We're not keeping score.
I can't walk past the guitar store.
And I don't blame them. They're so pretty. I don't know anything about them except they're pretty, and I go in and watch, and it's cool. And to see him have a good time is good enough for me. So that's part of the making time for each other. Go on dates. We went on a date last night because it was Gus's birthday. And it was just so nice to be out, just the two of us, and just hang out. And yeah, that was cool.
Share our love and we always run into other couples, and we always they're always surprised that we work together.
Yeah. I think I'm surprised sometimes that we work together, but it's totally natural and it completely works. But yeah, for the most part, most people are like, you do what? But yeah, go on dates, take walks together, or just cuddle on the couch, watch a movie. We do watch most TV. If we watch TV, we watch it together. So
usually watch.
Is it usually documentaries?
Usually documentaries and stuff like that. Yeah.
But anyway, luckily we both like that. But yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Take us to the next one.
What's the next one? Be affectionate.
I like this one.
Ashley likes to cuddle and
I do.
Hold hands, and
I do.
We do that all the time. But it means it really hugs and kisses and
taps.
Rub my shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, having that physical touch, having that physical connection, hugs, kisses, and cuddles, they're all great ways to show affection. And even if you're not thinking about it, it's a way to show love. It's a way to show appreciation. It's a way to, what?
I'm pulling my hair back.
Okay, go ahead.
It's tickling my ears.
Oh. I don't have that issue, but that's okay. I'm sensitive everywhere else. I can't stand it or anyway. Number 6, show appreciation. Let your partner how much you appreciate them and all that they do for you. This could be something as simple as saying thank you for making dinner or for giving you a massage.
There's still some cases. I'll give you an example. There's still some of you out there where one of the spouses is working outside the house and one of them staying home with the kids. They're both. I think staying home with kids is more difficult than working outside the house. I'll be honest. And it's usually a woman's role, but I'll just say that I wouldn't want to stay home with the kids all day. But there's appreciation on both sides of that, thanking your spouse for working so hard to provide for your family, and then thanking your spouse for providing for your family by keeping a safe and happy and working home.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's the case.
Just thanking each other, thanking your partner for doing their part, for making your team work. Is so huge, right? Because this is it. This is the stuff. This is the work. And I think what happens with so many relationships, certainly we saw it in our previous relationships, there's a tendency to say, yeah, well, he's supposed to do that. Or, yeah, she gets all of this. So of course I'm going to, she has to do that work to get to that. And I can just tell you right now, entitlement is not not something you want to have in your relationship, because if you get to that point where you're like, well, she's lucky to have me because I do this and this and this for her.
That's not going to work.
You got to switch that around and show some gratitude.
You got to change that.
Yeah.
Change that tune.
I thank you because Gus does the cooking. Because he's so much better at it than I am. And I think he likes to do it genuinely. I think it brings him pleasure. It brings me so much pleasure.
Let's be clear on that. And this is key. It's one of those two things. Don't do what you don't want to do.
I
don't do what I don't want to do. Right. I will find a solution if I don't. I actually love to cook. I will find a solution.
I love to eat. So
she does to eat. I'm not crazy on doing the dishes. If Ashley didn't do the dishes afterward, we'd be eating off paper plates.
No problem.
I mean, no problem. I'd have, I'd put a gourmet meal on paper plates. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
And he puts beautiful meals together. And I think that I frequently thank him for a beautiful meal.
I mean, another thing that, most homeowners are in a position. I hate to cut the grass. I hate to do yard work.
I don't like it either. So we have someone else do it.
It's important to us. So someone else does that, keeps the house happy. Otherwise, I might be out there cutting the grass for 3 hours on a weekend and being like, why can't she be doing this? And that'd be the wrong way to think about it. That's not what it is.
I'm happy to do the laundry. I like the finished product of when I do laundry. So it's not that I enjoy doing it, but sometimes it's just a break from what I have been doing. I put on some music and I'm putting clothes on hangers and stuff. And in fact, there's a load in there right now. And then when I bring his shirts up to him, he says, thank you. He says, wow, thank you for taking care of me, because it's a form of appreciation for me to take care of his laundry. I'm happy to do it. It doesn't take a lot of extra time. It's something he doesn't want to do, and I'm perfectly happy to do it. But it's the appreciation that we show for each other in our roles. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Number 7, be willing to compromise. No two people are exactly alike, and there are going to be times where you disagree with your partner. It's important to be willing to compromise and meet each other halfway. It doesn't happen often with us, but it absolutely does happen. We are not the same person. We're very similar. But there are times I want to do something, he doesn't. There are times he wants to do something and I don't. We're willing to compromise. I go on my morning run. I do it by myself because I kind of like that time to just be by myself. It's not a lot of time. I do it early in the morning. Generally, I leave when he's still asleep or just waking up. it's not, and I don't think we have arguments about it. I mean, it's not like I'm not doing it at a crappy time of day for us. It's not in the middle of something else that we need to do.
I do compromise my sleep when her alarm goes off.
I'm so
and then she
sorry.
doesn't get out of bed, go for a run.
Sometimes I don't hear the alarm. It's very nice of you to, thank you. See, then you can just fall back on that.
Yeah.
In which case we get to number 8.
Forgive each other.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. We don't have a lot to be forgiven for. I guess we don't really have a we don't really get in that situation that much. But
because we do all of those other things
because we
that
do all
we
those,
have just discussed. But yes,
we actually might say we forgive you as a joke. But if you get into
it's not a joke.
I know, but but there's certain there are certain times like I forgive you for doing that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. But it's like everyone makes mistakes, right? We're not always right. We sometimes mess up. And, the first thing to do, I think, just to help, is to be the first one to say, oops, I screwed that up.
I know good. So I know a good situation with this. So
I wonder if you're thinking of the same thing I am.
We have a couple that we know who are billionaires, and they bought a very expensive home in California, and they bought cars for that home. And the very first weekend they were in the when I tell you I had this home, it was like it's a very nice like $28-30 million, maybe more. Okay. And then they bought a Cadillac Escalade. And the wife, the very first day she was driving it, drove it into the wall in the garage. Really tight. Our SUV doesn't fit in our garage, so I totally get it. And she was crying and all upset and like, I can't believe I did this and all that stuff. And her husband was just like, so what? It's a car. It's just like nothing. You're okay. You're okay.
You're
get the car fixed.
The girls are safe.
It's no big deal.
Everybody's fine.
But somewhere in our lives growing up, we were taught that was bad.
Sure.
And the relationships. Then you chastise your partner for banging up the car or doing something bad. They didn't do it intentionally.
Right.
If they did do it intentionally, you got to go back to that number or whatever it is with respect.
Well, and
you're lacking that respect.
I think one of the key pieces on the forgive each other is drop it.
Yeah.
Like, don't bring it up again. Don't bring it up again when you're having maybe a similar argument. Like, because as soon as you drag that baggage back up, you are doing that thing again where you're poking holes in your relationship. But well, so was mine. He remembered everything, and it would come racing right back. I'm like, oh man, really? Like I can't. If we can't let that go, if you can't let that go, you're poking a hole in your relationship. You're keeping your relationship from growing to the next level because. You're just pulling all the steam out and you're really putting a weight on it. So forgive is not, it's acknowledging that the other person may have hurt you. It's also coming to an agreement to say, hey, I don't like it when you talk to me that way, or you're using a word I don't like. I have a friend who, her husband flat out said very early in their relationship, like, don't ever use the F word with me, like on anything. Like he's just like, don't, like that's just not cool with me. And it was probably from something in either a previous relationship that he had or something with his parents, or that was just not a respectful word for him. And so but the one time or maybe the next time she used it, it was just like, okay, forgive me. I didn't mean to use that as a way to hurt you. It just fell out of my mouth. I'm going to be very careful about this moving forward. And, again, like just forgive. You don't have to keep bringing it back up. So that's what forgiveness is about.
Forgiveness and respect go hand in hand.
They really do. But forgiveness is key. I think, can I just go a little further here on forgiveness? Some people don't understand what forgiveness is about. They think it's a way of saying, it's okay that you hurt me. Or I'm okay with you doing that, or it's all right that happened. It's not excusing the person. It's letting go yourself of the anger that you are holding from when that happened. Because if you're still holding on to it, it's going to be a continued tension in your relationship. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy to carry that anger with you because then it becomes your baggage, and then you're not
respecting yourself.
Exactly. So
anybody who has a problem with somebody else, and Ashley always says this, they're seeing themselves in your behavior, and it's their problem, not your problem.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
We have we're moving. We live. If you don't know, we live in the northeastern U.S. We're moving to far south Florida next year, and we tell people we're moving, and they come up with these. There's hurricanes there. There's
really?
Alligators there. What about the alligators?
And it's like but aren't you going to miss the people that you have? Aren't you going to miss your friends? Aren't you going to miss? And I realized that it's like I don't get upset. I guess I could take it as judgment, but frankly, I don't. But what they're really doing is they're projecting what, okay, you can stay here and you can stay close to your family and you don't have to worry about hurricanes. Yeah. For me, the hurricanes don't scare me. No, they scare me a little bit, but yeah, I mean, this is something that we've discussed, and they may also be really jealous of like, hey, wow, you're going to leave your family? I wish I could do that. So it's, just remember that when people say things, it's not necessarily because they're saying it about you. It's really what they're saying it about. All right.
Number 9, have fun
together.
We have a lot of fun together.
We do have a lot of fun together.
I also make her laugh.
You make me laugh every day.
Actually,
sometimes several times.
I'm not saying I can be a comedian, but I can pull one-liners like nobody's business.
He's a really good storyteller too.
Ashley will drop something out of her mouth and then almost try to pull it back because she knows what I'm going to say. It's going to just like
he's going to go for it.
I'm going to serve it back, and then she's like hysterically laughing.
But it's said in fun.
Yeah,
that's not as a as a zinger, because sometimes people can be a little rough with each other.
Yeah, but have fun. So we were just in Vegas for a week.
God, did we have fun?
Oh,
yeah. But it could have been very stressful.
We were working.
I've spent that much time with other people, previous relationships.
We were working.
It wasn't that much fun.
It was all work. Literally, it was all work related. We cut a bunch of business deals, but most of all, we had fun. We walked 52 miles in 5 days. It was kind of crazy how much we walked, but we had fun.
Yeah. We had fun just walking.
And we had a lot. We realized that we probably knew about 500 people at this event we were at, and we hung out with a lot of people, a couple of different parties. But we had fun every place we went. Even when we go, out to eat or something, we're always joking and
we genuinely like each other as people, as companions, as well as how much we love each other. So you hang out with somebody long enough, and you know what makes them laugh. He gets me laughing every day.
Go on adventures, try new things, have fun together.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are not fun.
That's true.
Ashley and I visited 2 places in the last year where I turned around and said, probably the last time we'll be here. They weren't bad. It was just like there's more fun places to go.
And that's perfectly fine with me.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Yeah, take that chance. We take that.
Even when we're on the plane going somewhere, we have fun together.
We had a really small window. Ashley, this is one thing Ashley didn't join me on, but she liked the story. My AV guy and I, we had about 2 hours to kill. We actually went surfing in San Diego, and it was a blast. I was hurting for 3 days after, but it was a blast.
And I was busy having a personal conversation with one of the people at our event. So it was just sort of perfect for me to be able to devote that time to her and building a relationship with her while you were off surfing, as much as I would have had fun watching you guys. But it was cool.
Yeah, so have fun, create fun opportunities, do something you've never done before. Everybody lives in an area that has something cool to do in it, and you haven't done it yet. I can think of like 5 things right here we haven't done, and we keep saying we want to do.
Oh, really? We should do them. We
haven't done. If I'm saying Chanticleer.
Yeah, I know. It's right down the street. We still haven't gone. We're just gonna have to take a day.
We haven't gone to the shooting range. It's right around the corner.
I know, and it's right around the corner. What are we waiting for? Yeah. So anyway,
we haven't been to.
There's a movie I've been trying to get you to watch for like 3 months too.
The Barbie movie?
No.
Oh.
Although I would like to see that as well.
Oh, I knew this. I don't want to see the Barbie movie or Taylor Swift movie in the theater.
Okay.
I saw the other day a Taylor Swift movie.
Yeah.
All the 5 and 6-year-old girls are dancing the entire time in front of the screen.
That's distracting.
At the
I
front
would
of
go crazy.
that's disrespectful.
I mean, I think it's wonderful if that's part of the
disrespectful.
movie experience, but I don't. I would be no. Anyway, we're gonna jump to number 10.
Yeah.
Don't take each other for granted.
That's big.
Relationships take work. Make an effort to keep your relationship strong and healthy. And just remember, no relationship is perfect. There will always be ups and downs, but if you're both committed to making it work, you can overcome any challenge.
That's a big thing. Committed to making it work. That's a big.
Absolutely.
If you're not committed to making it work,
it won't.
It won't.
Flat
I
out.
will say, going back to respect yourselves and get out. Find a different relationship. I hate to say that, but that's a
yeah.
If you have such bad grudges, whatever, yeah, get out.
Well, that's it. I mean, and I think what you said just right there, everything lynches on the commitment, right? I mean, the issue is, am I committed to being in a long-term, loving, healthy relationship? Because if I'm not committed, this is never going to happen with anybody. So you know, we all have to in ourselves decide, like, if this is something that I really want, if it's something that I'm going to commit to, I'm going to make it happen, and I'm going to do what it takes. And I may sacrifice a couple of things to make that happen, but those sacrifices are so worth it.
And there's always time. You can always start over. We know a couple couples that in the last year that were in really tough situations, and one thing changed, and then the partner who saw it bad, who thought they were in a bad position. This happened to two separate couples. I can't obviously I can't say names, but
like, I'm not sure who you mean, but all right.
The problem was with the person who thought the other was the problem, and they because they weren't respecting themselves. Both times the person wasn't respecting themselves, and as soon as they opened up and said, "This is what I'm going to do," the other partner was like, "Cool, congratulations, yeah, let's. How can I support you to do that?"
Right.
Both times what happened was, one half of the party grew faster or was doing what they wanted to do, and the other half of the party was like, I don't want you growing without me. But but once they started growing together, you can do your things together. We know couples that live on live on different continents, and they're married and they do stuff together, and they still like each other and still have goals and have amazing relationships. I don't think we could do that, but
we like being together too.
We like being together,
which is great. I mean, it works out for us, but also just understanding too, when you're with other couples who have every couple has a different ebb and flow to them, right? Every couple has they can be apart all day and spend very little time together, but still be a really strong, awesome couple. So it's that, when you're with them, that you're not putting, again, your judgment of Gus and I work together all day on our businesses, and people are like, "Oh my God, I could never do that with my spouse. I'd kill them." And it's like, okay, I get that, but so we're empathetic to that. But it's also but there are other couples who just have sort of different arrangements, and it completely works for them. And there's no reason to get judgy about it. It's just like, okay, cool.
If you could give one piece of advice to a couple,
yes,
what would it be?
am I allowed to refer them to a resource?
Sure.
Okay. So my piece of advice would be to read Elena Cardone's book, How to Build an Empire, and have it all, or something like. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering the end of it, but it's
How to Build an Empire.
How to Build an Empire. There's an exercise in there for couples to go through where they're basically writing down separately goals and what's important to build as a team, as a couple. And I think that exercise really helps illustrate in a very quick and non-threatening way to be able to say, okay, this is what we want to do for ourselves as people, as individuals. This is how we want to grow. These are the accomplishments we want to have as individuals, but this is what we want to build together. And I think, beautiful, because it allows that separate but then coming together piece, and then realizing that as you're working on yourself, you're also contributing to the empire that you've become as a couple. So that would be my piece of advice. If you are happy in your relationship, or you're seeking to grow closer and stronger in your relationship, that would be my piece of advice. Go get that book and read it.
Mm-hmm.
What's yours?
A couple, I would say.
Okay.
Hang out with couples who have what you consider to be a successful relationship. Surround yourself with those people. Don't surround yourself with toxic people. And this is for every aspect of your life and everything you're trying to accomplish in your life. Hang out with the people who are where you want to be, not the people where you've been.
Right.
And that's really hard. I mean, and especially for some people, especially for a lot of people in the Northeast who's found like didn't move someplace else, like go away or do something different. They're kind of stuck here because it's how it's always been. And
so we've hung out with couples who bicker, and I get home and I'm like,
we're done with that couple.
It's like a virus, man.
We're done.
We start bickering, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're not. No,
we're done with this.
No, like, I don't need that. I don't want to bicker with you, so I don't want to hang out with other people.
I read something, and I'm going to put a side note on this.
Okay.
Most of the advice we're talking about is for heterosexual couples. We know plenty of married gay couples and stuff like that, and I'm not really sure if most of these things are still the same, the respect and stuff, but the man and woman roles are still playing the same thing. Don't really change. So one thing I heard a long time ago, I heard this a long time ago. The woman marries a man often a woman marries a man thinking, I can change him and make him, if I can change these couple things about him, he'll be perfect. The man marries a woman and says she's perfect already. And it's a very interesting, dynamic, right? I mean, have you heard that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that but I can tell you that from experience, that's exactly what I did.
So my ex.
I mean, I was just kind of like, well, okay, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, but this is learned behavior. We can, we'll have this knocked down.
We're on new ground.
I was wrong. Or this is learned behavior, and I can knock this out in a matter of weeks. And what happened was that at first it wasn't a big deal, but then as we were building our family together, I realized we're now
on different ground.
Well, that's it. It wasn't a strong foundation, because I didn't realize how important it was and how foundational it was to be on the same page on things before we started building our family.
That is so key.
Together.
If you're a new couple,
and I'll tell you right now, I would tell anybody, that's the stuff you've got to have. The pillars of your relationship have got to be on the same page. You are not going to change that stuff, because the
woman is not going to change the man. The man, and as the woman changes and grows,
she might change.
Yeah, she might change and grow, and then the man gets like, oh boy, this is not my style.
I was growing. I was changing. I was moving forward with things. I was challenging myself with new things. And that became a problem because he was insecure.
In our healthy relationship, we change and grow together. We're different people than when we first met. I mean, we're vastly different people than when we first met, but we've done it together.
Yes.
It wasn't so.
Well, nobody feels like they're being left behind here, right?
And I know, especially for your new couples out there, you're going to be, if it doesn't feel right or you're arguing now,
it doesn't get
You're not married. It doesn't get better. It's not going to improve.
Unless you make the effort, both of you, to say, hey, I want to build us together as a team. I want to do this as a team. And if you get the, well, I don't.
I know one of our close. I know one of our a couple that we're really close with that. I believe they met in high school and now they're married like 30 years. They went through a time. They went through like a downhill until at one point they said, "You know what? We're not doing this anymore. We need to fix ourselves." And then they got an amazing relationship now. They got an incredible relationship today.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so-
But I mean, yeah, it takes that
But it
commitment.
takes work.
Again, it's the commitment. It's like anything. If you're committed to losing weight, you will lose weight. If you are committed to getting in shape, you will get in shape, because the commitment means that you're going to do what it takes to achieve your goals there. If you are committed to being in an awesome, healthy, fabulous, wonderful, loving relationship, you will. Obviously, it takes two people to create that space, but if both of you are committed to it, then,
But if one part-
which is why I yeah,
If one party is unwilling, it's
Yeah.
not going to work.
it
will
won't.
never
No
work.
despite whatever it is that you try to do, it won't. And
We met a couple weeks ago when we were in New Mexico. They're not together and they live in the same house, and they have a child together. I could not even imagine what that. How do you do that?
You either disassociate so much and you have a big enough house where somebody is like way on one
That's not a big
side
enough house.
and way on the other. Yeah, because that would be what would they call that, hall sex, where you walk past each other in the hallway and yell "fuck you."
Yeah. So, but
That's my joke for the day.
but I mean, the reality of that is you can't grow yourself, and no matter, Ashley and I talk about this all the time. We're not, whether or not you think you are growing or going someplace, and no matter what you're doing, everybody in their lives wants something more out of their lives. I mean, we often think of careers and
anybody who
money
says they
and
don't
stuff
want
like that.
They don't want more is lying.
They're looking for something more.
Just-
It could be, if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and you're in that group, you want to be whatever that next level is in Dungeons and Dragons, and that's your big thing. But as human beings, we're programmed. It's probably instinctual to want more and need more to grow the human race. It's just something that happens.
And to make things better for the next generation. So on that note, I'm going to bring something up real quick.
Uh-oh.
And that,
What did I do?
No, it's the couple that you just mentioned about, like, so there was a point in my previous relationship where I was like, okay, look, I'm not happy. We're not on the same page. We're not a team. How do I deal with this? I've got to just, and I literally said this to myself, I've got to suck it up and just put up with it until the kids are a certain age. Like, let me just get through this. I'll survive. I'll sacrifice my happiness right now so that I can get, the kids to a certain point of whatever that point was in my head that I thought was such a good idea. And a friend got in my ear and very succinctly told me that I and my spouse, we were the example for the kids, right? So if we're showing them, if I'm allowing this, like, hey, unhappy relationship is the model then for my kids. And I was just like, so you're teaching your kids it's okay to be treated this way, or it's okay for them to treat their spouse that way. And I was just like, oh, no. This is not what I want for my kids. And that's when I realized I needed to invest in myself. I needed to step into a very uncomfortable situation and correct it. And I hope that at this point our kids see how happy we are and get that was worth it.
If any of you, or if any of it, I'll put this out there. Actually, I'll talk about it. But we do this. If you're feeling stuck, you need help. We are not professionally, we're not trained in this, but we are there to give advice and to give support,
to give ideas. We can, the situation when it came to a head like that for me felt impossible. I felt trapped.
It's brutal.
I felt like there was no easy exit. There was no way that this worked out well for everybody and it was going to be fine and happy. No, it was really uncomfortable. But I knew that it was important for me at that point to do it. And I didn't know how. So I relied on some friends who had been in that situation before and just kind of, okay, what's the path? How do I do this? Or what are the paths and how do I do this? So yeah, I'm willing to share that information, that guidance with you at any time. So just reach out to us.
Anything else?
No,
All
that
right.
was it.
We got to roll.
It's time
Thank
for dinner.
you for spending time with us, and we will see you sometime next week. Right? All right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
hanging out with us.